What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Paranormies Present, the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am Johnny Monoxide, and tonight, joined by Scott Taylor, Adam Haidt, and Bradshaw Wilson. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's everyone doing?
How you guys doing?
Hello.
Doing good.
I'm doing good.
Glad to have you back on, Bradshaw. Not just doing a creepypasta today.
No, I'm happy to be on. I've been trying to get on for a while, but you guys, it seem like you're always booked.
We're dodging your calls.
Is that really what's going on here? Do you know
what's
anymore?
I thought we were going to work it out.
I thought we were no internet, so I don't get your notifications in time.
Dude, I've been mailing you invites to my Skype calls, dude.
I can't.
Oh, I moved. My address change must not have already gone through yet. So.
Well, I've been trying to send to all of you guys mails.
Yeah, I see.
At least you're on.
I just throw it in the trash. I don't think
Yeah, welcome back, huh?
It's great to be back.
Yeah. All right. So we got no business this week. We got no donations. We got no emails for once. It's weird. Yeah. Disappointing. We got a couple of the campfire stories recorded. Scott, you got a couple tonight?
I've recorded 2 so far. I've got another one Wednesday, which, I guess this is probably coming out on Thursday or Friday. So hopefully by this weekend, there'll be one released.
Nice.
I can't wait to listen to those. Those are going to be fun.
Yeah,
I sent you the one already, but there's
we get a lot of
we
get a lot of those stories in the Twitter and then on the Facebook page. The people, I had this happen to me, and it's like 3 pages of text, so it's better to have them tell the story.
If you want to get on, just send us a message on Twitter or Facebook, and we can schedule something, because I'd be more than happy to keep recording these. So,
yeah, these are cool, and we get people involved. I like it.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to record too. Especially, God, this one story just scared the shit out of me. But you guys will probably hear it in a couple days. So.
Right on. So yeah, we're gonna keep doing that. We'll take turns with the interviewing and whatever. It'll be cool. It's we're calling it what are we calling it? Around the Campfire?
Yep.
Right on. Campfire stories, listener tales of the paranormal and weird and just spoopy. So cool. All right, so speaking of spoopy, Brad, we're coming to talk about one of your favorites, right?
Yes, one of my favorite things to just research and sort of figure out whether or not it's true or false is the Amityville Horror House. The Amityville Horror House is actually known because of a popular novel called The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson, which was later made into a movie, and it spawned just a huge, just a giant outpour of haunted house movies, all bearing the Amityville name, and almost all of them are terrible. I watched a bunch, getting ready for the episode, and they were god awful.
I assume that all of them are also exaggerated and not true to life whatsoever.
Yeah, because I watched the original movie, and while it's pretty dated, it doesn't live up to modern horror films. It was good. It was more of a psychological horror film. No one died in it except for the opening scene, which we'll get into.
Well, you've been
other ones.
You've been conditioned throughout, movie watching that murder movies have gone, and horror movies in general have gone from where not a lot of people die or even nobody dies, it's just a psychological horror, to now everything's a jump scare movie and there's a lot of gore and
Yeah, I hate horror movies, to be honest. The jump scares especially, it's always shit. You always know they're coming, and they make you jump. I jump like a little girl every time, but after that, it's okay, it doesn't stick with you, and that's why I like the more psychological horror films, because I like the ones that scare me after the movie's over, 3 days later, I think of it.
Oh God! When I first saw The Ring, that was me. That movie actually terrified me.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. But yeah,
was an
most,
actually
most
scary
horror
movie.
films are shit.
Yeah, most modern horror films. The older ones, I like the older ones, and not just because I'm an old fag or whatever. But no, the Amityville horror movies, I remember those when I was a kid. I remember I've seen the first couple, so I kind of remember the story, but yeah, I remember them spawning a whole shitload of other movies, and that's pretty much where the haunted house drama or genre was created, was from this story, huh?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have not seen any of the Amityville movies, so you're gonna have to kind of clue me in on like what happened here. So you said some people died at the beginning of this film.
Yes, that's going to be the DeFeo family murders. But if there's one thing I want to talk about,
do we want to talk about the movie first, or do we want to talk about like the actual murders, or what do you want to do?
If you remember, you said you didn't remember the film that well, but the one thing you do remember is the house itself, because I think the house, you just look at it, it looks like it's a character in the film itself. It has these. Oh yeah. When you look at the house dead on from the street, there are these two windows in the attic, and it looks like it's almost looking at you.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of
got those
popular
eyes.
pictures where they light up those windows. And the current owners of the house, I actually don't know if it was the current owners, but eventually someone switched out those windows so they don't have those same things. Was it 112 Ocean Avenue? The original address doesn't exist anymore because so many people would try and come to the Amityville Horror House that the owners went to the town, got the address changed because they don't want anything to do with what had happened in the past. All this, because the Amityville Horror was a huge sensation back in the day. Like, this was national news.
Well,
everyone was hearing about.
Especially after that Yellow Card song came out, like, you know, about Ocean Avenue, like people just flocked to the house, didn't they? Like,
yeah, they all just went there. They wanted to meet the guys from Yellow Card because they heard about the Ocean Avenue song, and were like, oh, this must be the house that they were talking about.
Right. So, does the house still exist, or did they change the address?
No, they just changed the address. It's still the same house. It's been renovated. It doesn't look the same. It's a pretty nice house. Like, it looks very, very nice. It's an old Dutch colonial. It's like 4,000 square feet. Has a pool. Has its own dock house. So it was like a really nice house.
Right.
So you can find pictures of it online the way it looks now, then.
Yeah, you can just look up the Amityville house. You can find pictures comparing the old one with the eyes to the modern one, and the modern one doesn't look scary at all. Like, I would live there.
Okay. I wonder if it's still haunted.
Well, that's one funny thing is the current owners report no paranormal activity whatsoever.
Okay.
When I got rid of those spooky windows.
Yeah, that's what was doing it. The haunted windows.
Could be part of it. I mean, the house was black too, right?
It was like a natural wood siding.
Okay, so it was dark with those.
It was very dark looking. Yeah,
eye-looking windows.
It was a very intimidating looking house.
Yes, very intimidating looking house. And it looked like it had a jaw, like the whole bottom part of the front of the house that comes out with the balcony. The house looked like it straight up had like a mouth, and could eat you.
Yeah, right below those big old eyes, there was like almost like
a
teeth.
big underbite. Like, it's almost like the top railing up on the I guess what you'd call the widow's walk or the balcony or whatever right there. It looks like those are like teeth. That house could definitely eat you. I would be scared as shit of this house if I was a kid walking past this thing at night. Yeah, the house is definitely scary looking.
I just looked it up. Yeah, it's a pretty creepy looking house.
Yeah.
Now, so there were some murders that took place there?
Yes. First thing I want to do is take you back to 1965 when the house was purchased by Ronald and Louise DeFeo. Ronald was the owner of he was a manager of a used car sales lot, and he married Louise, the owner of the dealership, and they had some children together. Let me look up the list. They had Ronald DeFeo Jr., Dawn, Allison, and John Matthew DeFeo. and they all lived in this house together for many years, and it wasn't a very, very happy experience. Ronald DeFeo was your typical Italian dad who had alleged mob connections, so he wasn't a very he was a very good guy. He would
What's that supposed to mean?
He would get very angry.
Hang on a second.
The Italians, they have that. Hold on a second.
How's it not? How does it make him not a good guy, though? I mean, like, so he's got mafia connections.
He's a used car salesman.
And
he's a used car salesman, and he has mob connections. You can.
All right.
And
you
he's
also forgot
kind of man.
You forgot that's the part I was mad at. You forgot the middle son, Mark. There was Don, Allison, Mark, and John Matthew, along with Ron Jr. You skipped Mark. Leave him on the kids.
I'm sorry about that.
It's all good.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
So you're saying he was an Italian who was a used car salesman who had ties to the mob. Gotcha. So
he's a burly looking Rocky Marciano looking dude too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he threw some hooks at his kids.
Brutal.
Because that was one thing. It was a very, very dysfunctional family.
Italian family? No way.
Yeah, right.
Italian family from where? Where are they from?
Strong Island,
Long
New
Island.
York.
They're from Long Island. On top of it, an Italian dysfunctional family from Long Island. Wow, I have literally never heard those words in the same sentence together ever.
So the eldest, Butch DeFeo, who at the time of the murders was 23, was probably the one getting into the most fights with his father, because he was, getting hit his entire life, and then when he was finally big enough, they would get into physical altercations. And at one point, Ronald did pull a gun on Ronald Sr.
Huh.
So there was a ton of tension in this house for a very long time. But Ronald DeFeo was that kind of, he was that kind of Italian guy. Is like, he'll hit his kids a little bit, but he's also going to shower them with gifts because he makes a lot of money. And when Butch was going to leave and go out on his own, he gave him a job at the car dealership, and he gave him a new car. Like, he would treat his kids like shit, and then just throw money at them.
So then what happened?
So one night on November 13th of 1974 at approximately 3 a.m. Yeah, I just said Wednesday.
Oh.
Or did I say Wednesday?
I didn't.
Well, it was a Wednesday.
Okay.
It was a wacky Wednesday. According to the story, according to the story, Butch DeFeo.
They should have named the Amityville Horror book Wacky Wednesday.
The what?
They should have just named the book Wacky Wednesday.
So, according to the story, Butch DeFeo took a .35 Marlin rifle and went from room to room in the house and shot every single member of his family, reaching until he reached Dawn, the eldest sister, and there was supposedly a struggle, and that's when he shot Dawn. One very creepy thing.
The other ones?
No, that's one of the creepiest things about it, is there wasn't any signs of a struggle. They were all shot, sleeping in bed, laying face down.
Right.
Now,
and if you know one thing about 3 a.m. Yeah. Oh no, this was a loud rifle. It's a .35 caliber rifle. Like, you can hear this thing 4 or 5 blocks away. It can. And if you're firing the shit in a house, it's getting up to like 140 decibels. There's no way you could sleep through this. This is where
wow, that's really loud.
People use the paranormal to explain why no one woke up.
Okay.
So after
loud like.
It's very loud rifle.
It's loud like a bomb.
There you go.
Oh God!
Literally,
my hands are.
Literally told us he was setting the joke up, and then just whiffs on the setup.
I like to not bite when he does a joke like that.
Yeah.
Just let him flounder.
just let him flop for a minute.
I was hoping one of you guys.
Nobody woke up apparently and he was able to shoot all these people.
And the crazy thing is no neighbors heard anything. There was one neighbor that complained that he heard his dog start barking at around 3:15 or 3:30, but no one heard the shots being fired. So after
did he have some sort of like suppressing, like a suppressor on it or something? Maybe
this is an old school like 1950s lever action rifle. I don't think you could really.
So one of those old lever action cowboy looking rifles.
Okay,
a Marlin.
There's no way you can put a silencer on that thing, and even a silencer, you'll hear a silencer.
Yeah, they don't do like they do in the movies. That's a movie.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, as far as like the neighbors not being able to hear it, maybe.
6 shots, like somebody would have heard. That's a very, very loud round.
Well, he shot his parent. He shot both his parents twice, but he shot all his siblings with one shot.
Okay, so that's 6, 7, 8, 8 shots. So.
Yeah,
that's a lot of rounds for. And wouldn't he have had to reload? I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if they hold 6 or 8, but he might have actually had to reload too. So, I mean, there would have been time, you know what I mean, for somebody to have thought they heard something and then heard, you know, the 7th or 8th shot or whatever. You know, there's no way nobody heard any of them, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if what the capacity of it is, because I know it's not like they're very vague when they describe the rifle. They just call it a 35 Marlin.
Okay.
So I don't know any information about. He probably did have to reload.
Even all right. So but even if he didn't, he shot off 8 shots and we're going from between a few rooms. It wasn't they weren't all in the same room. I mean, what do you think the explanation is for nobody hearing it?
I don't know. That's why some people say this is like a paranormal killing. Because when Butch was eventually arrested for this, he gave so many different explanations that the only thing we can really deduce about the killings is that Butch DeFeo is a compulsive liar. And one time he said that he was hearing voices that told him to do it. Another time he heard voices telling him that his family was planning on killing him, so he had to kill his family. Another one, which, is actually probably the most believable, is that he was watching television while high on acid, and a veiled woman who was a demon appeared through the TV, and she had black hands, and she handed him the rifle and told him to do this.
Well, that's interesting.
Sounds like...
But he'll even also come out and say there was nothing paranormal about this event. This house isn't haunted. I just killed my family. So he has told so many different stories over the years.
Hold on. What'd you say, Scott?
Oh, I was saying maybe the house is haunted by his family. After the murder.
It could possibly be.
So,
I mean, the guy can't keep his story straight, so who knows?
Yeah, there's that. I mean, is he not able to keep his story straight because there's something going on there, or he's actually messed up in the head?
So the thing about DeFeo is he was known as like the town piece of shit. Like everyone, when they heard what had happened, they were like, "Oh, Butch did it." He was, he was a womanizer. He was a druggie. He would go to bars, get fucking blitzed, go out, just get into petty crime. He was a big drug addict too. He would abuse heroin, LSD, anything he could get his hands on.
He was your Italian stereotype from the movies.
He was like
your mafia guy.
Italian.
He was what was that Seagal movie? Anybody seen Richie? He was Richie. Like that.
Was he maybe?
I recognize that.
When he said that nothing paranormal happened, could he have possibly been trying to game it for his parole hearings or something like that?
Well, a lot of these things he said was because he was trying to plead insanity. He was trying to plead insanity this entire time. He wanted to, get, and if you're coming out with 10 different stories every other day, you're not insane. You're just a shitty liar. Right. So he's in jail. He's in jail for, 6 consecutive life sentences.
Okay. No, so he's
still alive. He's still alive right now at age 65.
Oh, we should get him on the show.
Yeah.
Start sending him some mails.
Yeah, send him some prison mails.
Right.
Yo, while we're at it, let's get Manson on the show.
Dude, didn't he come up for parole and like finally get it or some shit recently? Or
he's not getting parole.
I'm thinking of OJ. Never mind.
Yeah, OJ.
OJ's out. But I just want to.
He's out.
I just want to send Charles. I want to get Charles Manson on the show so he can tell us we're all God.
Right.
That'll be.
If you don't follow, well, that's the thing. If you follow esoteric Hitlerism and National Socialism, not esoteric Hitlerism. I'm sorry, National Socialism, and you don't believe Charles Manson's theories on that, then you're not a real National Socialist.
What, the Beatles were predicting a race war? Those theories?
Yeah, helter skelter in the race war.
Come on, man. It's right there.
Well, that's true. Let's go. Let's go kill Sharon Tate. I'm feeling it right now.
So after the murders, Butch took off all his clothes, disposed of them, tossed the rifle into the family pool, took a bath, went to bed, and went to work the next day like nothing even happened. And then at around 6 p.m., he ran into the local bar and told everyone, "I think my family was just murdered."
What do you think?
So he got everyone at the bar to come over, all his buddies, and they found just absolute carnage.
So he didn't cop to the murder. Yeah, he didn't cop to the murder right away. Then he said it was like someone else.
No, he said he thought it was a mob hit because of the alleged ties to the Genovese crime family that his father had.
Okay.
Oh, so everyone but him was murdered.
Yes, because he was probably, I think his alibi was he was out doing drugs or something like that, or out drinking.
Well, there was the one alibi that he was
shooting
with
up heroin in the alley.
He was with his wife, his supposed wife.
Oh no, he's too busy hanging out with Heroin Steve.
No, wasn't there one interview that oh no, I'm sorry, that's his uncle. The uncle was married. Who was in New Jersey, not him. Interesting.
Well, what happened after the murders is the police set up sort of their their crime scene center in the neighbor's house, and you could hear a conversation between Butch and his grandfather, basically just them arguing and him saying, "Just cut out the bullshit. You're going to take the fall for this. You're not dragging the family name through the mud." And he was saying, "I don't care what you have to say about Dawn. You need to take the fall for this." Because there was a very big rumor that Butch and Dawn, the eldest sister, were getting a little too close.
Oh, geez, were they banging?
He was doing his
sister? Yes, there was a lot of rumors that they were banging, and it's actually, if you've ever seen Amityville 2: The Possession, they play a little bit on that because the character Sonny and his sister also get into some hanky-panky.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
I don't know.
In the movie, is that an actual assertion? Is that an actual assertion, or is that just something the Jews put in the movie?
No, this is actually believed to have happened, and the movie played on that.
Really?
Because one theory is that it was not Butch that committed the murders, it was Dawn. And when Butch came home and saw what Dawn had done, that's when the struggle for the gun happened, and that's when he shot Dawn.
So is that something that,
nobody heard?
Yeah, that's the thing. You still hear
the
rifle shots.
That goes into another theory that both Butch and Dawn committed the murders because one could take care of the parents and the other kids.
Well, there was still only one gun, right? So how would that?
How's that going to go down?
Well, this was 74. This is before they had sort of real crime scene investigation. There wasn't a whole lot there that they could do. They didn't have the same technology we do now. So there could have been another gun.
You mean
I would still think that if you had 2 copies of the same gun, like and
Yeah,
found one, you'd think that they
it would have to be the same kind of gun, right? I mean,
Well, I know for a fact the family owned several guns. Like even like Butch owned his own, Ronald Sr. owned his own, even the mother owned her own.
It depends, like the forensics, like if they were similar enough caliber, you might have been able to fake that, you know, depending on
plausible
the level of forensics they had.
Right. It was the 70s, so early 70s too. Or now, but still, the neighbor's not hearing anything.
Actually found, which is the craziest thing. Which I don't even have an explanation for that. But the police actually found traces of gunpowder on Dawn's nightgown, and that's why they believe that she also is a suspect in this.
Oh, like gunshot residue type stuff?
Yeah, no. It was not. It was unburned. So like she discharged a firearm and got a little bit of gunpowder on her nightgown.
Well, maybe she got shot up close, and maybe it got on her that way. I don't know.
Powder burn.
That could also be an explanation.
Or
the
she
problem
had
is the fact
the
that
rifle or something.
That Butch. The problem is that Butch is such a fucking liar that you can't really you don't know what the truth is.
Right. Well, okay, so he goes and says, I think my family's been killed. I think it was the mob. When did it come out that it was actually him?
It was actually like after he talked to his grandfather, he eventually he admitted the crimes. And he started coming out with his stories immediately. He had this scumbag Jewish lawyer. Oh God, what's his name? William Weber. No, William Weber.
Oh, okay.
And this guy was the one who was trying to push for his insanity case. So he came up with all these crazy stories. And this fucking guy thought, like, yeah, we're going to get you off on insanity, kid. You just got to trust me.
Insanity is really difficult. Like, you can't... to try and plea that, like, as a falsehood is, like, really... You're not gonna do that.
Well, it's not the way that people think of it, either. Like, if you are not found guilty by reason of insanity, they don't just, like, let you go. Like, you still have to do time in a mental hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, from what I understand, the mental hospitals are actually worse than prison. So yeah, if you kill a little legal advice here on the Paranormies, if you kill someone, don't try to plead insanity, because A, you won't get it, and B, even if you do, it'll be worse than jail.
Here's some real advice. Don't kill anyone, Paranormies.
Yeah, I mean, but if you do, if your finger slips on the trigger and you kill someone, don't say a ghost did it.
Yeah, don't say a ghost did it.
Yeah, a ghost.
I highly suggest you don't do it anyways. But
yeah, don't kill anybody. Come on, guys.
Pranks. Yeah.
I know we have so many serial killers listening to us. That
I know.
We have to put these PSAs out there.
Well, you never know, man. I mean, like somebody, there's people that did stuff. They said they saw a YouTube video, and next thing you know,
yeah,
I watched a Danny Phantom fanfic.
Gotta watch out for Danny Phantom. I know.
That actually happened, though.
Yeah, that guy did go out and shoot people.
Wait, what was this?
Some brony Danny Phantom guy who is like probably insane. He worked at a grocery store and he shot a couple of people and then shot up the store. And I think he killed himself.
Wow. Holy shit. Mm-hmm.
But he was like insane. Like, I think he thought he was possessed by his like original character or something.
Well, that's the thing, okay? That guy.
He has 17 hours of rambling uploaded to YouTube.
Oh, right, that guy. Yeah, dude, I saw those.
The moral of the story is don't watch Danny Phantom and read the fanfic.
Yeah, and don't kill people. Phantom. Seriously.
Stay away from Danny
the fuck?
Phantom.
Like, who cares? No, shut up, Johnny. It has nothing to do with the cartoon. The moral of the story is just don't fucking kill people in cold blood.
Also, stay away from Danny Phantom. So
yeah.
You can't prove it wasn't Danny Phantom that did it. So,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Stay away. So
all right. So yeah,
back to
finally
DeFeo. He admitted it, right? Well, didn't he admit it in kind of several different ways? Oh, okay.
What he did it the next day at the police station, and he said, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop."
Was he killing his family or eating Pringles?
It was actually like a bag of Lays, you know. It was just after I had one, I couldn't stop.
No one can do just one. Once you pop, you can't stop. I get it. Yep.
We've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, he got his defense lawyer William Weber to mount an affirm like a.
What was his lawyer's name?
William Weber.
His psychiatrist was Daniel Schwartz.
That's a Jewish name.
Honestly, I don't care. Like, if just all I know about William Weber, even if he is not a kike, he is spiritually a kike.
Oh, really? How so? Tell me about the lawyer.
Well, I'll get into. Actually something I'm going to talk about in the second hour. But this guy, William Weber's a piece of shit.
Oh, alrighty then.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck him.
So Butch DeFeo admits the next day that he killed the whole family. Is once he started, he just couldn't stop himself, and he killed all 6, his parents and his 4 brothers and sisters.
Yes, and during his trial, his psychiatrist, Dr. Daniel Schwartz, supported the insanity plea, but they had another psychiatrist for the prosecution who just came out and said, no, he was a drug addict and he had antisocial personality disorder. And he was 100% aware of what he did.
Interesting.
Okay, so here's my question. If he was aware of what he did, why did he do it? Like, he just didn't get along with his dad, and then, he shot one and he figured, well, fuck it, I'm gonna just do the rest of them, or what?
Well, I mean, you can kind of get into what antisocial personality disorder is. It's essentially, being a sociopath. You don't really have a conscience.
It's not the same thing as like asocial. Like antisocial is you actively harm other people. A lot of people get like antisocial and asocial. They think they're synonyms, but they're not.
Yeah. And antisocial personality, people with antisocial personality disorder are prone to, impulsive and aggressive behavior. They'll just fly off the handle, and maybe this is just an incident where he flew off the handle.
Okay. Well,
or it could be the woman with the black hands.
Yeah.
Who am I to judge?
Well, let's get into that. So, I mean, he gets arrested, goes to jail. He's in jail still. Mm-hmm. Now, what happened to the house? Did it just sit there? Did they sell it right away, or what?
So the house was on the market for about a year before it fell into the hands of Daniel and Kathy Lutz.
Lutz?
Now, Daniel and Kathy Lutz. Yes, Lutz. They were both 29, recently married, and Kathy had 3 children from a previous marriage. Danny at 10 years old, Christopher at 7, and Melissa at 5. And neither of them liked the other's houses because they're both, divorcees. They weren't want to move in together, and they just.
What was their name again?
So George and Kathy Lutz.
Okay.
So they were looking for a house in Amityville because George ran a construction firm in New York City, and he wanted to move to Long Island and still be able to get to work when he needed to run his company. And they found the DeFeo house at 112 Ocean Avenue, and they saw it was, a steal at $80,000, which, that house nowadays is probably worth like $750,000.
Oh, wow.
Oosh.
And he was paying so much in docking fees that he wanted to find a place that was right in the water, and lucky enough, this place was right in the water. They went in, and they absolutely just fell in love with the place. It was their dream home. Had a swimming pool right on the water, plenty of room for all the kids to run around with. So they decided, right away that they wanted this house. And the the realtor actually disclosed that this is the DeFeo murder house. And they sat down with the kids and they, explained the situation. Like, this is, where all those murders happened. And everyone seemed fine with it.
Actually, it sold again in 2016, and it was listed for $850,000. So, yeah, nice house. I mean, besides the
this is Long Island we're talking about,
right? So they knew, the family that bought the house, like, this wasn't like a surprise to them that all this happened. Like, they knew that.
No, they 100% knew what had happened there.
Okay.
Yeah, they were even asked when they purchased if it was going to affect their decision. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it says they discussed it and it was not a problem. So.
Oh, so you got to think, like, you tell the kids that, like, they see this big ass house with a fucking heated pool. Are they going to say no?
Right. I mean,
heated pool, and you got the dock right there in the back. You got the canal in the back. You got the boathouse. I mean, the kids are only 5 to 9, 5, 7 to 9. Yeah. So, you just don't tell the kids somebody got murdered in their room. I don't know. As parents, it's something they got to tell the kids.
When the Lutzes originally took the tour of the place, they didn't notice anything out of place. Mm-hmm. Nothing. And
all the bodies were still there really stuff.
The bodies were gone, but furniture.
There was some of their furniture was still there, right? They kept some of the furniture there. Probably not the mattresses that had blood on them.
No,
I mean,
they kept pretty much they kept everything but the mattresses. They bought all the DeFeo's old furniture because they wanted, they needed enough furniture to furnish this big house.
Well, yeah, it's not like they were using it,
They did buy their own, the old bed frames that were in the house. Like
I would not have bought the beds. Like, I can understand keeping.
Listen, honey,
or
we're getting a steal.
Like, the bed frame, like, buy new beds at least.
Yeah,
I can understand everything else, but the beds,
maybe back in the 70s they didn't have that whole you buy it, we deliver and take away your old one. Yeah, no, but like maybe the mattress store didn't do that.
Just throw the bed.
Whoa, he's advocating polluting the ocean over.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't do that.
The ocean. Sea life for assholes.
Seriously, fuck the ocean. For those of you I don't know. People that like.
Did we have something bad happen to us with the ocean recently?
Hey, fuck Atlantis too. Fuck they're down there.
Whoa.
Well, maybe
we have information. We have some new information about Atlantis, and actually, I think I want to go over, show you guys later. One of the guys in Discord sent me a bunch of stuff on Atlantis. Speaking of that.
Wait, is this real or are we?
No, really, no. I got one of the guys I met at one of the Bay Area Goys meetups said he was, after listening to the Horus Atlantis episode, he wanted to do some research for the show, and he sent me this like long ass. It's good. It's really good from Atlantis and Antarctica. So we should need to do another Atlantis. We've had people asking us about Atlantis again, so we'll do some more research and we'll get together and do a second Atlantis episode soon enough. But yeah. Don't you say fuck Atlantis there, Bradshaw.
So
on this show.
What happened to the Lutzes?
Well,
the story didn't end there.
No, well, this is the story that you read in the book and the story that you witness in the film. So the Lutzes moved in, and George got a friend of the family named Father Ray to come and bless the house because they weren't necessarily, religious. But
it doesn't hurt to play it safe.
Right.
Yeah, so they were, and fucking people died there. Just go get it blessed. Just have some guy splash some holy water and you're good. Because George was a Methodist, so he wasn't even a Catholic, and Kathy was a former Catholic because they're both divorced, so she can't really be a Catholic.
Right. Not back then. You couldn't. Now you can be whatever you want.
Yes. Now you can be like a fucking.
Now the Methodists have like a gay transgender Muslim. Don't they have like some transgender lesbian woman as like their chief bishop or some shit?
Probably.
Methodists.
So this gentleman, Father Ray, was actually a friend of George's. They knew each other before he had moved to this house.
Okay.
And George actually converted it.
Father Ray was a psychotherapist for the church.
He was I cannot pronounce the word. It's like an ecumenical.
I don't know.
Ecclesiastical.
Ecclesiastical.
I honestly can't pronounce the word. Ecclesiastical judge. That's what it was.
Ah, okay. He was
for the Diocese of Rockville Center.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. This is a big position in the church. And right. George had met Father Ray during the annulment process of his first marriage, and he just. If you ever listen to any interviews of George talking about Father Ray, he loved the guy. He thought he was like one of the smartest people he had ever met. So Father Ray came in, blessed the house. Came in, sprinkled his little holy water. But there was one room, one of the back bedroom, when you go up the stairs, and the back bedroom was unnaturally cold. He even stated that he heard a deep voice behind him saying, "Get out," which is one of the famous scenes from the movie. Yeah. And he says he felt someone's just slap him right across the face. And he went to the Lutzes and talked to them after he had blessed the house, and he just had one question. He's like, that one bedroom up there, what are you doing with that? And they said, we're just gonna turn to Kathy's sewing room. So he was like, okay, very well then.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
He was understandable. Have a nice day. He didn't tell them anything that he had happened in there.
Who died in that room? Do you know?
I believe that was the youngest daughter's room.
Okay.
That turned out to be no, it was Mark and John Matthews' room. It was the two boys' room.
I thought it was Allison's room.
Yep. They shared a room then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that makes the whole face down on the bed thing even stranger.
Yeah, because if someone's getting murdered in your room,
you're not just going to lay their face down.
You notice, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, he could be laying there, scared shitless, oh, God, don't shoot me, too.
Yeah, I suppose
there's
that's
also that. But every single one of them did the same thing. Nobody got up to see what the hell was going on.
All just they were all they could have been they could have moved the bodies. Like I said, forensic science wasn't that great back then.
Yeah, but there would have been. I mean, you shoot somebody with a rifle like that, there's going to be at least blood, from dragging bodies around. That's, I understand they don't have the CSI magic, what do they have? Those not even magic. They use just what do you call it?
Fluorescent.
The black light. Yeah, the phosphorescent thing. Yeah.
I don't know. During
that kind of shit, but I mean, you'd see blood across the carpet or the hardwood floors, or it had to be something, right? I mean, or there was nothing. They were literally face down in their own beds.
The thing is I've been doing a lot more research into true crime and serial killers and the like, and sort of anything before the late 90s. The police were kind of dumb.
Were
they've literally locked up people like John Wayne Gacy, let him free, and then he just goes back to killing.
Well, yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. He had some Filipino twink in his house that he was killing, and somehow he escaped and ran away to these two cops.
That was the zombie.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Dahmer convinced the cops that he was his gay lover, and they had a fight, and he was drunk, and the cops just they opened the door and they thought the house smelled funny, but they didn't investigate at all. It was the smell of rotting flesh, and they just let the guy, they let Dahmer take the guy back into the house, and he killed him. So I mean,
Oh yeah, it's a believable story. Here you go, Mr. Dahmer. Here's your lover. Here you go, Mr. Dahmer. Here's your lover.
just the sheer incompetence of it is mind-boggling.
Either that or Dahmer was a really good actor.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't think Dahmer probably wasn't. He was a weirdo. There's some like serial killers that you could definitely like believe could talk their way out of anything, like Bundy, but Dahmer was like a skinny faggot. Like,
wasn't Dahmer basically retarded as well, or am I thinking of another one? Like,
no, he had a very low IQ,
very small brain.
Wow. Small brain. So back to
Yeah. So what happened next?
yeah, what happened next, Brad? We were hanging on the Father Ray thing.
So
right?
Father Ray did not tell George and Kathy about what he had experienced in the sewing room.
Kind of a jerk.
And
he should have probably said something from the get go, right? He left, and then
And then what?
and then what?
Well, he didn't tell them until much later when they actually kept in contact on the phone fairly regularly.
Now, did he have a reason for not telling them this? Like, I don't know. I feel like that would be something pretty significant. I would want to tell someone.
He was their friend. He didn't want to this was like their dream home. He
More
didn't
than
want to
anything,
scare them away
tell,
because
I would tell my friend definitely, like, hey, you're in a haunted house. Like,
Well, and he waited.
He, up there.
He waited like 6 days. It wasn't even like he told him like the next day or later on that night or whatever. He waited till like, Christmas Eve. He told him. He said, "Stay out of the second room," where he heard the mysterious voice. Yeah,
Christmas Eve. So not only did he not tell them right away, he ruined their Christmas.
right. And the thing is the call says here the call was cut short by static. So it's like, stay out of the second.
Are we sure this is not like Father Grinch, where he's just like
Just ruined their Christmas completely.
He did. It seems like they.
Are we sure Amityville was in Whoville?
Hoopsville. What a fucking asshole! Holy shit!
So Father Mancuso, being a really nice guy,
who killed your family?
Oh Jesus!
So but he got punished. The father got punished for that. He allegedly developed a really high fever and like blisters on his hands, like a stigmata almost. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I guess they punished
just like
him
in the film.
Yeah. They punished. Oh, and that was in the movie too. Yeah, he was dying, high fever and blisters. So
which one thing that happened in the film that didn't happen in real life? He did not go blind.
That's right.
They really these were blisters, and like he did get sick, but like it's completely different in the movie. Like if George Lutz actually complained later on about the movie a lot, because a lot of what happened is alleged to have happened was sensationalized in the book, and then the movie is not based off of George and Kathy's experiences. It's based off of what they read in the book, so they even take a lot of liberties with that and made up a lot of their own stuff.
Jews taking
okay,
liberty.
So what happened next?
Artistic liberty.
So they took a lot of liberties with the creative liberties.
Did they ever find out what this fever and blisters was from, or did they just?
I don't know. He's fucking old.
Okay, fair enough.
I've never known old people just to get blisters. I mean, he probably grabbed something out of the oven and forgot his oven mitt.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so
that's kind of what old people do. He has like dementia and forgets to put on his oven mitts.
Right.
Just holding it.
You should always put your oven mitt on when you're taking stuff out of the oven. So.
Yeah, I can't wait till I get some new oven mitts.
Oh, right.
If that ever happened.
Not having the old oven mitts.
No, I actually have mine on my desk.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I have mine. It's a collector's item. I haven't used it once.
Yeah, I was a fucking idiot.
Oh, really?
And I just thought, yeah, I just thought this was like, my friend who has this funny podcast, he made an oven mitt. This is such a great gag. I can't wait to use this when I get home. And I used it like right when I got home. So my oven mitt is dirty as fuck, and this is like a collector's item now.
You dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, let me put my Horace Wagner baseball card in the spokes of my bike wheel so it can make a funny sound.
Oh, come on now. You're comparing that to that. Let's be honest.
Well, you never know. Well, maybe because there's only like 2 good oven mitts left because you guys are fucking using them all. Like,
let's go outside and play fucking wiffle ball with my grandma's Fabergé egg.
Right. I know a few that are still in good shape. So.
Showers has the.
I've held. Yeah, he's got the. Yeah, I've held the that oven mitt. I have a picture of me with that oven mitt.
So what the hell else happened at the Lutz's?
Adam is back.
I've been on the edge of my seat this entire episode. I gotta know.
Read the Wikipedia page, dumbass.
Or you could read the book that I gave all you guys, but
none of us
gave the book to you weeks ago, and you didn't even fucking read it.
Now, to be fair, we do a lot of prep for this show, and there were books that were more important.
A ton of prep for this episode.
Yeah, Bradshaw did a lot of prep for this episode. I'm very proud of you. That was good. We didn't get a chance. We moved this episode up.
You read
so
all
a lot
the
of my
chapter
prep
titles at least.
Right, we have.
I didn't even do that.
No, it's fine. No, but we moved this episode up, so we didn't. Usually I do all of my cram prepping in the last 2 days before the show. So to be fair, I didn't prep as well as I should.
Well, plus I just, as soon as I saw that the book was from Bradshaw, I just zoned out and didn't read it.
This is like a classic bestseller. It has nothing to do with who posted it. All right, dude, this is a great book.
Well, I don't trust anything you post, so that's what happens.
Jesus.
I mean, that's a
boy.
He's just a boy. I know.
It's off the match.
I'm kidding. No, but I didn't read it though. I'm not kidding about that.
So
the book. Hold on a second.
In.
Hang on. You were saying that the book took artistic license with the story, and then the movie took artistic license from the book, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of muddies up whatever truth there could be, because even George himself said he thinks that you can tell kind of stories of the paranormal through fiction, and let people know what is really out there through these kind of these scary stories, because he himself, like, after his own experience, became a true believer. So,
so this priest guy got blisters on his hands and
got a very bad fever.
Didn't tell them until Christmas Eve. Now did
he ruined Christmas?
Yeah, he ruined Christmas. Now, did the hauntings start right away, or did they take a while to ramp up, or what?
The craziest thing that happened on the first day was, while they were moving in, Harry, which was George's pet black lab, or it was like a lab mix, was chained up in a little fenced-in area near the boathouse, and he had jumped over the fence and was hanging by his collar, like the lead had gotten caught on the fence, and it was almost like he was hanging himself.
Oh, Jesus.
So that was while they were moving in. This was the first thing that happened, but it was odd, but they didn't think it was like, oh god, a ghost is killing our dog, because that
right, yeah,
dog being a dumb dog.
Huh. Okay, so after that did the haunting start after the dog died then?
No, the dog didn't die. They found him, and they
okay. I thought
they lifted him back up, and George took the lead and he cut it down so the dog could never do that again.
Gotcha. Okay.
So one thing that also happened when they moved in was they found a bunch of just pills all over the second floor, like all sorts of different pills that were just chilling on the floor. It could have been like, it could have been Butch's stash that fell out during the move.
Do they know what kind of pills?
Broke a panel.
Is there any?
No. There was just hundreds of pills, just of different kinds.
Yeah, these cops did a shitty job. Like now,
Yeah, honestly,
now they would have been categorized by like what was in them and blah 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 whatever. They'd be in the police report. Was there a police report?
yeah. There's probably a police report out there. I never actually looked into, of the haunting or of the murders, because obviously this is one of the murders.
The murders. I mean, of the cops going to the house after the murders, a police report. I'd kind of like
I've never
that, actually. Yeah,
I'd probably have to go to a Long Island library and find some microfiche or something, and we're not doing that. Like, if I made money off of coming on this podcast, hell, I'd drive to fucking Amityville. But
well, you don't. So
this is something I do when I'm bored at work.
So it's not. Yeah.
Just,
whoa! Hey, come on. We do this because we love to do
just
it.
Tell us more about what happened, huh?
So,
do you want to do it after the break? I mean, we're coming up on an hour, pretty close to it.
It's just about an hour. Yeah. Do you guys want to take a break now, or you want to talk? Are we done with?
Yeah,
the
I mean, we can get into the real. We established the murder, and we can get into the haunting in the second hour.
That'll be
All
good.
right.
I mean,
So
I
that's where
think we
Danny
pretty much
Phantom comes
exhausted
in.
the.
Okay.
That's when Danny Phantom comes in and tries to kill the whole family.
Right. So what we got is Butch DeFeo confesses to the murder of his mother, his father, his two brothers, and his two sisters. Who?
But
one of which
allegedly killed them.
Allegedly, right? Who? Well, he's serving 6 consecutive life sentences for it. And apparently he also killed his sister Dawn, who he was also banging. So, yeah, got it. So that's the story.
Well,
Those Italians, they got to keep it in the family,
That's not anything anybody in my family's ever said. So
We care about blood. We Italians, we care about blood, all right?
yeah, we do. But you don't. Never mind. That's just
That's why you got to keep it in the family.
No, nobody ever says that. All right, so we are going to take a break now. We'll listen to a little bit of song.
Pretty good. I have to assume that.
Well, that's a Boston, mafia accent. It's
I
different
can't
from
tell
New
the
York.
difference.
It's different from New York. It is. Anyways,
We'll take. Isn't Boston in New York?
Yeah, it's one of the 5 boroughs.
It is. Yeah,
Right,
It totally
yeah.
is.
Queens.
It's
Boston,
the worst borough.
the Bronx.
It's the worst. It's literally the worst borough of New York. That's all.
Connecticut is another one.
Yeah.
Connecticut's the
Boston's
second.
the best.
Connecticut's not bad. Connecticut's like.
And then,
Connecticut shouldn't even be a state. Connecticut's literally a suburb of Boston and a suburb of New York. That's about it.
No, dude, fucking, when I went to Connecticut, I was taking, an overnight bus to fucking go hang out with Sven, that one pool party, fucking
So you
2
drove.
years ago.
So you rolled
we
through
stopped
Connecticut. Where'd you stop?
We stopped in Connecticut, and I feel like we stopped at a fucking Jay-Z concert because everyone who got on the bus was black.
Shit, yo.
in
Damn.
Connecticut. Well, you probably got all the black people in Connecticut there.
No, there's plenty of black people
No.
in Connecticut.
There's
Brother.
a lot of black people in Connecticut.
Of course.
Oh, there's a lot of blacks. There's
A lot of blacks running around here.
Yeah, lucky.
All right.
Anyways, all right, so we're going to take that break. We're going to listen to a song, and we'll come back and talk more about Amityville and the horrors therein, and it'll hopefully get even more spooky in the second hour. We'll be back.
Let the thunder sing my name with a bang. Starts, let the agony repeat. I'm flying the abyss and it's staring back at me. Let it all shatter, 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 shatter. I don't need your reality. yeah, just like me. Oh, you hurt so much, it's like needles in your eyes, being forced to live while everybody else dies.
All right, everybody, we're back. That was the new one from Greyfield Stray. That was Shatter off his new album that's coming out whenever. We don't know yet. But I'm still... Yeah, soon. I'm still Johnny Monoxide. That was Scott Taylor. Adam's still here. Adam, you still here?
Yep.
And Bradshaw, you're still with us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm getting attacked by a ghost. There's this popcorn kernel that's stuck in one of my molars. I can't get it out.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I was going to say, thank God you showed up, back up, because we need your help figuring out what happened to the Lutz family. So.
Yeah, I got to know.
Yeah.
So the Lutz family...
So we went over the murders, and then Father Ray came and blessed the place, was an asshole, didn't tell him about his, demonic experience, and then the dog tried to hang itself. And they found some pills. Then what happened?
Yes.
So far, nothing too scary. Weird,
no, nothing
but not too
scary. But the Lutz family was only in the house for 28 days because eventually the haunting became so much that they fled one night. Just left all their furniture, everything they owned behind, and just went off to I believe it was Kathy's mother's house. And if you know one thing about 28 days, that's one cycle of the moon, which could be another paranormal thing right there.
So what specifically happened to make them flee the house that night?
That's you actually got to build up to all the other stuff that was happening.
Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about that, but one thing I do want to say is George and Kathy, until their deaths, they never really explained what had happened on that night. And I'll get more into what my theory on that is later on in the episode. But at first, the sort of strange things that were going on weren't really like sort of evil. They didn't feel threatened. Like Kathy would sit in the living room, or not the living room, the kitchen, and she would feel like a female presence sort of embrace her. and she said that she would smell a faint but cheap perfume, something an old, like a middle-aged Italian woman would wear.
Interesting.
And it was she never really, that didn't scare her. Like, she just thought it was like a mother coming up from behind and sort of comforting another mother.
Okay. So when did they turn from comforting to malicious?
Well, I mean,
So
that wasn't
it
the
was-
only like weird thing, right? I mean, there's got to be more.
No, it wasn't the only weird thing. There was the incident with the dog that we talked about in the upstairs playroom, which was Dawn's room, and then the sewing room. There were hundreds of just house flies flying around that they couldn't seem to get rid of. Every time they killed the flies, they would come back the next day and just, they were still there.
Get some fly strips, dumbass. Like, just
Call an exterminator, jackass.
Jim Fetzer's latest book. Call an exterminator, jackass.
All right. Jim's he can only write these books so fast. wait
He's
for us.
prolific.
He's
I
becoming
can
much
only
more
wait for
prolific.
the hate mails. Jim Fetzer's gonna write some complaints.
We are never
gotta-
going to get a serious guest on the show if you don't cut it out.
No, of course
You
not.
gotta wait for the Pony Express to deliver that hate mail.
He's got a new marriage counseling book called "You're Lucky We're at the Mall, You Bitch." It's really great. I just read it the other day.
Oh,
Okay, so they have flies.
right. So the
Yes,
flies.
They had a multitude of flies that they could get rid of. One,
That's interesting because it was wintertime too,
Murders.
right? It was December.
yeah,
December,
it was
January,
the
January,
wintertime,
right?
which was strange. But you have to remember, there was a murder there, and they sealed off the house and just kind of left the bodies there until they could figure out what was going on. So flies would naturally be attracted to a dead body, and they
Hold
could.
on. They
really-
didn't.
Well,
Hold
don't
up. Hold
know.
up. Now going back to the murder investigation, the cops left the bodies in the house to decompose. I mean, that doesn't.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing.
No, I'm not saying they left them there. Like, yeah, all right, someone's moving into the house. Let's clear out those bodies. No, but they did seal off the house during the investigation, and
Okay, I'm sure the bodies were gone though.
oh yeah, they were gone. But all it takes is for a bunch of houseflies to make their home there.
They were there for a day because Butch didn't go to the bar to talk about what happened until after he went to work the
Right.
next day.
Right. It was a whole day after.
And it wasn't until the day after that where he confessed. So that's at least 2 days right there.
That's
The
true.
average lifespan of a housefly is 24 hours. So they could have had, a couple generations of flies that found their way into the house.
It's got to be longer than 24 hours.
Maggots last a couple of days. The housefly is I think it's
Yeah.
like 24 to 48 hours or something like that.
I'm looking this up. I don't believe a housefly lives for 24 hours. It's got to be longer.
All right, well,
Some
hire an
flies.
intern to look that shit up.
Yeah, this is
28
why we
days.
need it's 28 days. Okay, that's why we need an
Yeah.
intern.
Yeah,
So-
if you want to be our
Okay, so that, maybe the Lutzes were houseflies and they felt that like they were going to die in that house, and that's why they fled after 28 days.
So what really happened is a family of flies bought this house. Interesting. Did not expect this turn. So there was a lot of flies.
So,
It was
what
wintertime.
else happened?
It was weird.
So George would a lot of restless nights because he would hear just all manner of sounds throughout the house. He heard what has been described as a marching band downstairs. It was just a whole bunch of people playing their instruments without any sort of direction. It was just people banging drums, making all kinds of noise. And he would also hear just the front door just opening and slamming, and every time he went down to go check on the door, it was fine. And Harry, the dog, was just, sleeping right in front of the door. And the thing is no one heard this other than George.
sounds almost like the problem was with George, not the house being haunted.
Right.
Well, if you notice one thing about George throughout throughout this entire thing. It actually, it's probably the one thing that I like about the movie is it shows his slow descent into madness. Like, he is a man losing his mind. He becomes obsessed with being warm, and all he does is just chop wood, keep the fireplace going, chop wood, keep the fireplace going. He was constantly cold, despite him always having a big roaring fire. He was just eating through firewood.
And was that in the movie, or?
Yes, that's one of my favorite. That's actually, like I said, one of my favorite things about the movie is they portrayed that really well.
Gotcha. Okay, so he's hearing stuff. He's constantly cold. What else is happening to him?
He's becoming a lot more aggressive towards his family, and he started neglecting his business. Everyone sort of they felt like they never wanted to leave the house. Like something was sort of compelling them not leave. Like Kathy would not go out and shop as much. George cut down his trips to his office. He would, just stay at home. There's one scene in the movie where one of his employees comes in and be like, "Hey, you didn't sign payroll this week. No one's getting paid."
But he was doing something, though. He was going to the bar, the Witch's Brew, which is where DeFeo was a regular customer.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And when he wasn't really keeping up with his grooming habits, so he actually looks a lot. In some pictures, you can see like a resemblance between him and Butch. Like they had the same kind of hair. They had like a beard. He could possibly have been, like sort of going through the same kind of possession that Butch had been going through. The same, I don't want to say the possession, because he still had full control of his body, but he could have been going through the same kind of, supernatural influences that Butch had been doing. One other, kind of creepy thing is all the children in the house used to sleep in different ways, but after moving into the house, they all started sleeping on their stomachs. The same way that the DeFeos.
Like, I knew you were going to say it when you started, but that still creeps me out just to hear it. So
Yeah,
you think
wasn't there something with one of the kids too?
What are you talking about, Danny? Or are you talking about are you talking about Jody?
Yeah, one of the daughters.
Jody?
Yeah, one of the daughters had the daughter. Excuse me, had the imaginary friend.
Yeah, Melissa had an imaginary friend, which initially she would refer to as an angel. Jody was an angel, and they, Kathy at first wrote it off as, an imaginary friend. She's 5 years old. She's just a little kid. She has an imaginary friend, but she would talk about, Jody wanting, "Mommy, are we going to live here for a long time? Because Jody wants us to stay here forever." Just start saying weird crap like that. And the family would see, specifically Danny and George, saw Jody manifest itself as a large pig with jaws and glowing red eyes. They saw it in a window one time, and when Danny and George rushed into the house, went into the room where they saw Jody, they saw a rocking chair rocking back and forth on its own.
Spooky. Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, and Jody supposedly anytime.
Hello?
Hello,
Yeah,
Brad. You cut out right there. Go ahead and say that last thing.
Supposedly, and then I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
So Jody could supposedly change size and just appear at any time.
But she was definitely a pig with like a jaw, like a human jaw.
Specifically a pig with glowing red eyes, which you can see in the film.
Right.
It's probably the goofiest thing about the film. Like, I talk about how great it is seeing like a slow descent into madness, and then it just that's my one complaint about the film. It's kind of hokey. It's very, very 1970s. Like,
Well,
all
the
this
1970s.
Because if they stuck with a lot more of the psychological aspects of the movie, and they didn't have this pig with glowing red eyes, it would have been like a timeless film. But they have the fucking pig with the glowing red eyes.
Well, if it actually happened, though, I mean, that's pretty creepy. Now, do you think they're making this up, or do you think this actually all happened?
So when I first started researching this, I was about 50. I would actually probably say I'm like 60-40 thinking it was real.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've actually done the research, I'm pretty much saying 90% sure it's bullshit.
Okay.
Damn.
The only thing that really keeps me thinking that there's that small 10% sliver is that George and Kathy, to their grave, stood by their story. They never went back and said, okay, we were it was all bullshit. Like, they both died with this story. And even after their deaths, their son, Kathy's son Daniel, some documentarians tracked him down and wanted to make a film with him called My Amityville Horror, and he did an interview with them. It's actually one of the better Amityville documentaries because it seems a little more real, and you can see like this guy has like kind of a fucked up life because of his childhood.
So it can lead other stuff as well.
He actually gets into that. George became abusive. He became paranoid living in this house. He would wake up at 3 a.m., anywhere from 3 a.m. to 3:30, which was when the murders occurred, and he would just walk around the house, check on the kids, and he would always go into the boathouse, make sure no one's fucking with his boat because boats are expensive.
Well,
and
they love their boats.
Yeah, he has to protect his boats. Because I'm pretty sure they had two. They had a smaller boat, and then a larger boat that you could like sleep in one of those style boats.
Mm-hmm. So assuming it's is not bullshit. What else was going on? Like, he's getting paranoid. They were seeing, glowing red-eyed pigs. Was this all happening to George, or was the other members of the family also affected by all this?
So, supposedly, one night when George and Kathy were laying in bed together, George noticed that Kathy's facial structure started to change. She just turned into an ugly old woman, and her hair had started turning gray, and this happened for hours, and there was no explanation for it.
What the fuck?
And supposedly when they were at this happened again when they were at Kathy's mother house after fleeing the 112 Ocean Avenue.
Huh. So it followed them.
Yes, and Kathy would have nightmares where she felt like she could witness the murders. Like, she saw the murders happen in her nightmares, and she would, she felt like she was Mrs. DeFeo in the nightmares getting murdered by Butch.
Did this stuff happen? Obviously that incident happened after they moved out, but did this stuff bother them for the rest of their life, or did it kind of go away once they left the house?
It went away. In fact, George and Kathy went on to have 2 more children together. They did eventually divorce, but they stayed close friends, and they continued to talk about their story on documentaries, and on the Discovery Channel they'll come up.
Okay.
They didn't really experience much after they had moved out, other than sort of Kathy become the old woman again. And one thing that happened was George would witness Kathy levitating in bed. And supposedly that had happened together one time after they had moved out, where they were both been levitating in bed, but it wasn't a scary phenomenon.
It just kind of happened.
It just, it just kind
of... That's weird. So, they only lasted like a month in this house. I don't know. It's just one of the interesting things about this to me. I think usually with hauntings and stuff like that is it doesn't usually get that bad that quickly. Like, when you have poltergeist problems or whatever, usually it ramps up pretty slowly over a period of time, and it starts out innocuous, and only later on does it become sinister.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it sounds like with these people, I mean, it basically started right away. Especially considering the fact that they left, after like a month, they just couldn't handle it anymore.
The haunting was hot and
So I
heavy,
think
and it started almost immediately.
Yeah, like that's what's so strange about it to me. But again, you said that you are like 90% sure this is all bullshit. So what is it that makes you think this is bullshit?
Well, I mean, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about some more occurrences there before I get into
Of course.
Let's do that.
the refutation, because
There's more stuff, right?
they kept there's a ton of stuff that happened to them.
Didn't they
were there
find
for a
out what about
full
the red room?
The red room was this small room that was in the basement. It was like below the stairs, and it was kind of like a little storage room that they could have used, and that's what Kathy did originally use it for. But it was this room that was just completely painted red. And in the film, it's portrayed as a gateway to hell. But
Oh boy.
they said they never thought of it as a gateway to hell. That didn't contain a pit of blood. They never had to break through a wall to get there. It was just a room. It was weird. It smelled. The dog didn't like it. But there was something like off about the room. It had like a strange kind of like musty, gross smell to it. So they didn't really.
It was
use
under the
room all that
stairs, so
much.
I mean, it's completely possible that it just smelled funny, just because of its location, and it could have gotten damp.
Yeah, it's an old house. So
it's an old house.
There's going to be some mildew and mold in the basement.
But it was painted red, though. That's kind of weird. And it wasn't on the prints for the house either, so it was like, right? This wasn't even on the blueprints.
No, it wasn't on the blueprints, but it wasn't. I wouldn't even really describe it as a room. It's more of like a store. Well, it's like a storage room, so it's like a walk-in closet almost. So I could see why they wouldn't put it on a blueprint, because it's more of a closet than a room.
Okay. It'd still go on blueprints. Just saying. That's weird. So. Yeah. And didn't the room do something to the dog wouldn't even go near it?
Yeah, the dog hated the room. He would bark at it. He wouldn't go anywhere near it, which you can see in the movie. He hated the room. He did not like it. Refused to go into it. Another incident that happened was Danny, the eldest son, was in one of the upstairs rooms, and one of the windows just slammed straight down on his hands, and George and Kathy heard him start screaming, so they ran up, and he was in the window of the sewing room, like that looks out onto the property, and his hands were like deformed completely. They were just crushed flat. And as like they were gonna leave for the hospital, like this kid had just fucking destroyed hands, like a cartoon. They were just completely flat. And then they looked at the hands again, and it was almost like they were fine. And they said, maybe it was the house, didn't want us to bring him to the hospital. But there's a lot of conflicting stories coming from George Lutz about this. Like he said he did go to the hospital, and then when he was confronted about that, I was like, oh, so I can go look up the hospital records. He's like, no, we decided not to go to the hospital. It was like the house didn't want us to.
They speak of the house as if it's a thing rather than the house being haunted by ghosts or poltergeist or whatever. I don't know. It's just, that's kind of a weird way to phrase things. Like the house has sentience almost.
Well, like I said in the very beginning, you look at the house, it almost looks like it is alive with those eyes. Like the big windows in the attic just look back at you. Like it has a very, very intimidating presence.
So, I mean, I would love to find out, if they thought it was the house itself that, was sentient or whatever.
Well, they really had no idea. Like they were just experiencing these things in real time, so they didn't have time to like think. They never really, they didn't see any full-bodied apparitions, so they didn't know if it was like a ghost or anything in there. They just knew that something was going on, something that wasn't natural.
Well, they saw the pig, though, didn't they?
Yes, they did see the pig. That's true.
But they didn't see like any like people apparitions.
No, they never saw like human apparitions.
That's kind of weird too. I mean, usually in hauntings, I don't know the statistics or anything, but I would imagine that usually in hauntings, probably, at some point a ghost is going to pop up. But I don't know, maybe they left the house too early for something like that to happen. I don't know.
Oh, they had the pig.
I just said that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Oh, nice.
Good job, you guys. So
anything else happen?
that's a lot of weird stuff.
Kathy would get, like welts and wounds on her that are typical in a haunting. The Lutzes kept this big, like, silver crucifix in the living room, and one time they had noticed that someone had rotated the crucifix to be upside down. Another thing
Energy.
that
Yeah, we've got a 16-year-old emo ghost.
it was Ronnie. He was mad that his parents ground him.
Right.
I don't know. He was still alive, so it couldn't have been him. It was
Well, it could have
Dawn.
been, I guess.
Weird.
Dawn was mad that her parents wouldn't let her fuck his brother.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck you, mom and dad.
That's just gross. So, okay, so there was a lot of really weird stuff, but mostly reported by George, who was the guy who descended into madness because the house was haunted. So I guess I can see.
Well, no.
What about the slime? What about the slime?
The green slime that they would find everywhere, all over the house. It was in the books and the movies. They make it seem like it was coming out of the fucking walls, but it was just strange green gelatin-like substance they would find all over the house, or in like keyholes.
That's interesting, the keyhole thing. So it kind of came out like along the walls or whatever, and okay. Well, that's still weird. I mean, if you don't have a lot of lime jello around your house and you're finding lime jello looking shit in your locks to your doors, I mean, I would think that was weird,
Well, one thing is Mrs. DeFeo is allegedly a bad cook, and every bad cook I know makes fucking jello for dessert because you just pour shit in a bowl. So maybe with her,
So you're saying
it was her way of saying I'm still
She's
here.
such a bad cook that it ends up in the keyhole.
Oh, everybody has that one aunt that makes the ambrosia that nobody likes.
Yeah.
Getting too close to
Thrown
home.
in a keyhole.
Sorry about that. My microphone just fell out of its holder. What the fuck?
Understandable.
Yeah. But yeah. So you're saying it could have been Mama DeFeo's Jello surprise.
No, that was more of a joke. I just wanted to, but she was supposedly a bad cook. Maybe that's why Ronnie killed the entire family. He was sick.
Mother
of
couldn't take his,
mom's
couldn't
cook.
take his mother's cooking anymore.
Doing everyone a favor.
Right. She was an Italian
So,
mother.
well, you were saying that it was mostly George reporting these things, but no, Kathy even reported her feeling the embrace, her strange welts that would appear in her.
You sure you didn't just roll over and beat her in her sleep?
And that's one thing that sort of Danny talks about in his documentary My Amityville Horror is George did hit him. He was a fucking stern stepfather. He didn't want to be called Dad. He wanted to be called Mr. Lutz by his adopted children.
Well, adopted kids aren't real. So.
Right. So exactly. So he literally had 0 kids. So there were 3 children in the house. He had 0 kids. Got it.
He had 3 children, and then he later went on to have 2 children with Kathy. But since those 2 kids are his real kids, and then he had 3 not kids,
he's still
he has
at
negative one kid.
He's still at a -1 kid count. Yeah. But so he was a stern. He was a stern. On the what? Oh yeah. Did anything happen funny on the last day that they were there?
Well, my theory is that the final night, which George and Kathy would not talk about, is that George went into like a sort of fit of anger and tried to take the life of Danny, because him and Danny had always had problems. Like, he was the oldest of the 3 children. He was kind of a little bit of a troublemaker, a little Dennis the Menace type. So I think that George tried to, do Danny some harm, like physically. I don't want to say kill, because maybe he didn't go that far, but something happened where he lost his temper and just went crazy in that house.
And it's very possible. But
now, do you think that was because of some sort of paranormal?
No, I just think the guy's an asshole.
Oh, he couldn't have been possessed.
Priest is an asshole. That guy's an asshole.
People
Ghost
know
seems
a whole
like
lot
an
of
asshole.
assholes. The Ghost seems like a
assholes
real
around
jerk.
here.
Yeah.
That DeFeo guy doesn't seem too nice either.
Nope.
Maybe
He
that's
shot
what
some
happened.
people,
Maybe. Well, they're all from like Long Island area, right? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if this is just me, being predisposed to hate people from New York, but I don't like anyone in this story.
Yeah, they all
I'm
kinda
pretty
sound like
sure
assholes.
they
it's
don't
like
like
the
you either.
Assholeville's horror.
The Assholeville Horror. That's what we're going to call this episode.
Oh, yeah, we got the title.
So
Took us an hour
after
and a
moving
half.
out of the house, after they had fled the house, they decided to stay at Kathy's mother's house, and eventually they found their way out to the West Coast. They moved to California, but before that, they sort of became like a local phenomenon in the newspaper, and that caught the attention of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And you probably, if you are listening to this and you're a horror movie fan, you've probably heard the name Ed and Lorraine Warren, because they are mentioned in the Amityville case, the movie The Conjuring, The Haunting in Connecticut, Annabelle. They were big demonologists and paranormal researchers back in the 70s and 80s. So they got a hold of this case, and they took a big team of psychics, of paranormal investigators. They went into the house for a night and just did their weird seance shit, where they would walk around and be like, oh, I feel a ghost in this room. Oh God. And it's actually, that's one of the things that sort of makes me think it's BS, is because I'm very skeptical of the Warrens, because I feel like everything they touch is illegitimate. They went into the house and immediately said it was a demon. And if you look at Ed's past as a demonologist, he said every single haunting he ever went to was a demon. And there was no hauntings before. There was no hauntings after. The Lutzes are the only people who have ever experienced any sort of paranormal activity in this house. And there's a lot of different stories. They say this is like an ancient evil that lives within the house, that there was some sort of witchcraft that was performed on this land where the house is built. And then they also get people like, what's his name? Professor Dr. Hans Holzer. He's so important. He's a professor and a doctor. Another famous paranormal investigator
like he said his real name, Professor Doctor.
That's what you call him when you
No,
address him. His name's Professor Dr. Holtz.
What a doofus.
This guy,
Holzer. Excuse me, I mispronounced. It's Professor Dr. Holzer. Holzer.
Christ.
yes, he was. He is an Austrian man who moves to the United States, and he is really well known as a ghost hunter. And every single house he ever went into was haunted. He's written like 100 books on different fucking haunted houses. And
He is the
tells a completely
luckiest
different
guy.
Story.
Yeah, it's weird how every single house, I don't know, I guess he just knows how to pick them.
He tells a completely different story from the Warrens, who say it was a demon. He says that the 112 Ocean Avenue was built on a Shinnecock Indian burial ground, and that it was the angry spirit of an Indian chief named Rolling Thunder that had possessed Ronald DeFeo and made him do all these murders. And he says that he had seen the when he was there, he saw, he had his, well, no, he didn't see it. His medium saw an Indian man on a horse, and he just like loved talking about this Indian guy on a horse, this Rolling Thunder guy that was there. Although there's no historical evidence that this house was built on an Indian burial ground.
Interesting.
So basically everyone who's investigating this house comes up with a different story for why it's haunted.
Yes, and it's kind of blackpilling me on just paranormal research in general, because I'm finding out that it's filled with fucking liars.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not surprising, I guess. It's people want to make a name for themselves, and because Ed and Lorraine Warren are very, very famous investigators.
Right.
So I mean, they certainly made a name for themselves using
I didn't know about them when I first heard about Amityville, because they aren't featured in the film. But when I did my research and I saw it's those two again, because I really liked The Conjuring, and I saw that they played a big part in that film.
Right.
So, speaking of all these greedy paranormal investigators and their love of money, that's where I want to get back to the lawyer, William Weber.
Oh, William Weber.
So
yeah.
William Weber.
I was just reading that,
Yeah,
the lawsuit section.
So William Weber, he approached the Lutzes with, after hearing their story, with a book offer, pretty much. He wanted to write about their experiences and combine it with the sort of the murder. But the Lutzes didn't like the idea of this, because he had promised a cut of the profits to Butch DeFeo, and they just decided to walk because they didn't want to give money to a murderer. So after they met with Jay Anson, and that's when the Amityville Horror was written. But before that, when they were still talking to Weber, Weber claims that they would come over his house all the time, to his place, and they would, just talk about the ideas for the books over bottles of wine. He said they would just get drunk. He would show them, crime scene photos, describe what had happened there, and how you can correspond the story to, the actual events that happened. Like, this happened in this room, you can say this about that. Like, they actually worked with one another to sort of make a better story.
So he's feeding these people information.
Yeah. And that's when he came out and said, yeah, the story's bullshit, and he started to try and discredit them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to their credit, like George and Kathy stuck to their stories until the day they died.
Well, I mean, the other possibility, you have to consider all possibilities, I guess. And the other possibility is basically that whatever happened in the house to the Lutzes, did happen. And then maybe all of the investigators who came after are full of shit. I mean,
Yeah, when I say I'm like 10%, I do actually think something weird probably did happen in that house because no one just fucking up and leaves a house.
right? Yeah, like, and especially this being the 70s, I can't imagine that they thought we're gonna get famous off of a haunting.
Right,
Like,
there
I
was
could
no
kinda see
internet.
that.
There was no major cable networks to make
Yeah.
docudramas about it or whatever, or even
Yeah.
movies. Like
And did they even make any money off of this?
So George's claim is that after everything was said and done, after all the losses they incurred, after all the taxes, he walked out of it with about $300,000.
Which they made from everything, like selling their story, or what? Okay.
Yep, that's everything. Because they didn't really get any money from the movie, which was a box office hit, or any of the movies that followed.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think it wasn't until
book or what?
Yes, this is from the book. They got a cut of the book. A lot of the money went to Jay Anson, who, he claimed that he didn't care that he was making up bullshit. He just wanted the money. He probably got the best chunk of money out of the book, and then he fucking dropped dead. So, fuck that guy.
wow.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say that maybe the Lutzes are telling the truth and everyone else is a liar, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't know. If you look at motive and you look at like what would have happened, I just don't see any reason to leave a house like that. And who the fuck wants to go move out of their house, stay with their mother-in-law of all fucking people, and have to basically give up the house? Like, it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know, maybe it happened, and maybe the Warrens are full of shit, or the Dr. Professor is full of shit, and I don't know.
That's the only thing that keeps that 10% there, is if you listen to sort of or watch any interview of George, he looks like a man who's convinced. And I actually think his stepson Danny in My Amityville Haunting, or My Amityville Horror, looks even more convincing. Like, this guy's like looks like a neurotic mess who's like chain smoking the entire time.
Yeah. If you think about motive, it makes a lot more sense for the investigators to be full of shit than it does for the Lutzes to be full of shit. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to make a name for myself with this famous haunted house. And I mean, that's basically what the Warrens did too, isn't it? Like, did they kind of get their big break as investigators after this?
This was one of their earlier ones, but yeah, this was their most famous case. They talk about it all over their website. If you go to their website,
I think Mr. Warren died, didn't he? And I think Mrs. Warren's still around or something like that. I'm not sure.
I believe it's that way. Yeah, I believe Lorraine Warren is still alive.
But I mean, nothing else has happened in this house since the ones.
No. In fact, everyone who's lived there tries to get away from this sensation because they just want to live their life in peace. Because there are people who, for a very long time after like the big Amityville sensation was happening, they went to the house. They tried like digging up pieces of the lawn, trying to get like a scratch some paint off of the side of the house, just get anything of the horror house, Amityville Horror House that they could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. It almost sounds to me like if anything happened, it happened to the Lutzes and nothing else happened. But then, right. I mean, that raises a lot of questions too. Like, why did it happen to them? And
So one theory about that is that's raised in my Amityville Horror is Danny lays the claim that George was a practicing occultist. So George and Kathy used to say in interviews, they weren't really that religious or spiritual or anything. They were getting into transcendental meditation. But Danny says that George was into occult magic.
TM is some fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's legit. It's a fucking scam that makes some people go crazy. We ought to do an episode on that.
Is that like the tantric sex
TM?
stuff?
No, that's the whole.
It's not tantric sex. Transcendental meditation is basically where. So there's a few different kinds of meditation. Like one of them is like, and I'm sorry for saying this because I know I'm going to fuck it up. So listeners, I'm sorry, but there's like one kind of meditation where you're supposed to like clear all your thoughts. It's like emptiness. There's another one where you're supposed to like focus on how you like feel, like sensations and stuff. I think transcendental meditation is basically you repeat a mantra over and over, and your mantra is supposedly like given to you secretly by like your guru, and like you're not supposed to tell anyone else your mantra, but the gurus reuse these mantras and all this stuff. I'd have to look it up again. It's been a while since I'd read about it.
And it can make you go crazy?
Yeah, I was about to say,
go batshit doing this stuff, yeah.
Was George's fucking mantra like, kill your family?
Right, I don't know.
I don't think that would be a mantra. It
could be. I don't know.
Could be. You
can't
never know.
tell anyone.
That's right, yeah.
I guess
But,
we'll just have to do some TM and find out.
Yeah, I guess.
Nah.
I got into
I'm not doing that.
some weird kind of spiritual shit when I was in college. Like I went to a pagan thing, and like it was like a more like an Eastern thing, and I learned how to meditate and find like center my chakras or all that kind of bullshit. I don't know. I still continue to meditate after I got out of that, just because it's very pleasant to just sit
Every
there
now and
clear
then
your
I'll
thoughts
listen
and focus
to
on your breathing.
I'll listen to a meditation before I go to sleep. And
Alan Watts is a really good one, actually.
who? Alan Watts.
Alan Watts.
Actually, I was just listening to his a couple days ago. Alan Watts meditations are great. I like his voice. It's good for that. I've noticed a lot in these meditations is that a lot of Aussies do the voices because it seems like it's a little better. Like however the fuck they do it with their loads. Like I don't do a good Aussie voice, but it's always like they got that really quiet. Like I don't know.
Oh, yeah, right over there's a crocodile.
Well, there's a little bit of science behind prayer and meditation.
Yeah, meditation. I'm not saying is bullshit. Transcendental meditation specifically.
Yeah,
is bullshit.
No, meditation is a good thing. I mean, it can help clear your stuff. I mean, I don't believe the chakras thing at all, but you can to get centered and just to concentrate on your breathing and like just figure out what's going on in your head for a minute. It's actually good. I do it all the time.
But now they supposedly weren't doing TM. They were doing like occult shit.
That's what Danny claims, and
some sort of like thalamic, maybe some sort of.
He just says the occult. I doubt the guy knows anything about the occult. He probably doesn't want anything to do like with what happened in that house, if it did happen in that house.
Right.
But I mean,
but that's a very vague. That's very vague. They were doing occult things. It's like saying, I don't know.
Yeah, and it has like some tarot cards on the screen, and it cuts away real quick. Something
right.
It's dramatic.
Some weird music. It's like, yeah.
Well, what's weird to me about the occult thing is if they did do the occult stuff, either it would follow them or it would stick with the house, I think. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing some occult shit and you accidentally or purposefully summon something that you shouldn't fuck with, I don't know. I feel like it would either stick around and haunt people afterwards, or it would follow the Lutzes and, ruin their life. Like, why would it only bother them at that house specifically?
Yeah, you open the
got
door
charged up with all those
and let
murders.
something out.
Whoa, what, Adam?
6 people got murdered in there. That's a lot of bad juju getting charged up right into that house.
Right.
Right.
So
And it all
maybe the
happened
house.
so fast because it was discharging it at like a really high rate of speed as well.
Maybe. I don't know.
Gotta go fast.
I don't know. I think it would, if it were some occult shit, I feel like it would follow them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like if they were, well, I don't know. If you summon,
Maybe they stopped after that.
What they ought to do is have the remaining Lutzes all move back into the house and film it for a reality TV show.
For a
Yeah, it
reality
could be on
TV show.
MTV.
Right. Well, I mean, I've heard stories of summonings where people accidentally summoned something they weren't supposed to, and they just left until the thing went away. So, I mean, I've heard
Yeah, you
that before.
try summon a sexy succubus and an incubus pops out, fucking rapes you in the mouth.
Right. sounds like you're speaking from experience there, bud.
I'm gonna preview the new episode of Around the Campfire a little bit. There was a guy I did an interview with, and he had some shit happen to him when he went into this apartment that was haunted, and it's followed him, and he's moved out like years ago, and this thing has followed him ever since.
Well, don't we also know somebody who has their own personal ghost who goes around doing things with the trash can and stuff in the house?
What? I don't know. You cut out. I heard someone has their own something.
Oh, I said, don't we know somebody who has their own personal ghost who occasionally does stuff and like the trash can in their house, and I believe they may even have a name for this ghost.
Maybe, but if you're trying to reference something, I'm not picking it up.
I don't want to.
That's fine. I'm not following what you're putting down.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, we know somebody who has a ghost who's followed them. Is all I'm saying. So and then of course, then there's like I said, then there's the I heard what's his name, Danny Carey, the drummer from Tool, that he does Enochian magic and chanting and stuff. And I read somewhere when they were recording Lateralis, he accidentally summoned something that scared the shit out of everybody, and they evacuated the studio for a few weeks until it left. So.
Yeah, that's another one, the Enochian stuff. Like, I don't know why people think that they're summoning angels or whatever with that. Like, if you look at John D. or the other fucking guy, I can't remember. I don't remember their names, but like, no one who's messed with Enochian magic has ever had a good ending, as far as I know. Like, John D.'s life kind of turned out to be terrible, and so did the other guy, and
We should do John.
I don't
D.
know.
We should do at least.
Yeah, it'd be a good one. We should.
Yeah, he's a good one. But yeah, so I mean, so the ghost could follow, or the ghost might stay. Either way, the Lutzes didn't report anything afterwards, and the people that bought the house, they bought it for was it like $55,000 or something like that? They bought it for like super cheap from the Lutzes, right, Brad?
How much did the
they bought it from the bank.
What?
The Lutzes gave the house back to the bank. They
that's
didn't want
right,
to sell
that's
it. Like if they thought it was haunted, they didn't want to give it back to like some poor sap. Be like, listen
Right. So
here,
the
buddy,
family that bought it,
you want that house? $20.
the family that bought it, Jim and Barbara Cromartie, they bought it in '77, and they bought it for $55,000. Yeah. They said that the Red Room was just a small closet in the basement and would have been known to the previous owners because it was not really concealed. So that part is partially made up. And the part about whoever said it was built on the Shinnecock. Is that how you say it? Shinnecock?
Oh, Dr. Professor.
Shinnecock, the Dr. Professor guys. I don't know how to say those words. I don't speak that language. But they they said that those Indians had abandoned their mentally ill and dying was actually rejected by the local Native American leaders. So, I mean, that part of it being, like a burial ground, Indian burial ground or whatever, that I guess the local natives said that no, that it wasn't true.
Well, there was claims that the doors had been ripped off the hinges in the house, and when this family moved in, they noticed that everything was still original. There was nothing wrong with any locks or any doors or anything, except for one room where they would complain about a window opening, and that's because the house wasn't built properly. So if you stepped on a certain floorboard a certain way, it would cause the window to open up.
Now, I gotta kind of call bullshit on that part. I mean, like, really? You step on a floorboard and that does something to the pressure of the wall that makes the framing of the wall move so that the window slides up? Come on.
Maybe they're stomping real hard.
Yeah, they're jumping
the other
on
end
the
of the
floorboard.
board attached to like a lever that raised the window. Perhaps?
Right. Was it attached to a lever that was attached to a match that lit off a candle that set off a balloon that, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm trying to remember because there is a
The Looney Tunesville horror.
thank you. Thank you, Adam.
there is a movie of people who did debunk it, and they showed I'm trying to remember what the actual explanation was, because I'm not a fucking contractor. I don't know how windows work.
What do you need? What do you need to know about the window?
A fucking windows. How do they work?
How do they work?
Yeah, it sounds like bullshit to me. I've never seen a window.
Settle down, Jim Fetzer.
I don't know if they exist.
There's no window, you dummy. All right.
I think it had something to do with like the counterbalances on it, or
yeah, Windows. The older Windows used to have counterbalances because they didn't.
Oh,
have,
like it's like a pulley system almost.
Right.
Yeah, I
and
know
you would have like
exactly
a
what you're
rope.
talking
It would have like a rope and a weight, and there would be a little pulley on the top and whatever. Yeah, and you'd pull the window, and that would, as the window would go up, the weight would come down, and the weight would hold the window in place because the windows were heavy back then. The glass was heavy. Yeah. So I guess. So what you're saying is that somehow stepping on the wood in the room would make the pulley system. I'm still not buying that part. That there had to be some sort of that. I don't buy that part. But that's just me.
Well, supposedly, if you look at like there are documentaries out there that show this shit happening, but I don't know.
Oh, really? Because they actually go into the house. Well, I'm pretty sure that people, or they just simulate it.
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, fuck it. If the people living there probably don't want everyone to realize that this shit is fake, so they're gonna let someone disproving it in, but they're not gonna let someone be like, all right, this is what happened in the house. This guy came in and fucking murdered everyone. All right, we're gonna do a movie about it. Let us into your house.
Pretty sure that's not how they come up. They show up. They usually show up with like a suitcase full of money.
I mean, hell, the last time that house sold, it was for what, $95,000 or $950,000. You're gonna need some money.
Yeah.
Really? When was that?
2016.
They sold in 2016 for.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm seeing in May of 2010, the asking price was 1.15 million, and then it was sold for 950,000. Did it sell this year or last year?
Last year, yeah. If you literally Google Amityville house, it's like the first link. Well, I don't know if it sold for 850, but it was listed on like Realtor.com for 850.
Oh wow!
So yeah.
Shit, dude. We should have gotten all the Paranormies fans to chip in and buy a Paranormies house.
We could have bought the Paranormies house, the Sweet Donations. Yeah.
I call the Red Room.
All right, so I don't know. I mean, I don't think we can figure out one way or another if this actually happened, but
I'm leaning more towards the side of being bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm leaning towards something happened, and
going back to
got out of hand as far as the
lies,
exaggerations go.
Well, people didn't expect those stories from the Holocaust to live this long either. So they made them as crazy They could at the time. They didn't think the story had legs. So yeah,
the Holocaust was just a party that got out of hand. You know,
that's one thing I'm going to say. Literally, like, the people who believe Amityville actually happened are in the same tier as people who believe, the Holocaust actually happened.
Oh, you believe?
Well, hey, now
that?
I don't believe in the Holocaust.
Right.
No,
but here's the thing. Okay, I have my doubts about Amityville too. But here's the thing. You go back to the original murders. There was the fact that there was up to 8 rounds shot with a very loud rifle. Nobody heard them. That's weird. There could be something there. And then you have the weird shit that was happening with the Lutz family afterwards. So, I mean, unless every single person that's involved is lying, then
it's,
I don't know.
It's New York. Everyone lies in New York.
Oh, we don't trust you assholes.
About
we don't trust assholes
Hey,
neither. So, yeah. Settle down there, Seth.
At least we're honest.
Oh.
Yeah, and probably like 100 years, people will be talking about the Amityville or the murders. Like, yeah, that's when Butch killed 6 million of his family members, right there with the gas chambers.
No, but you see, the thing is that with the other lie, they take it way more serious. This is like, Butch killed people. And the other one's like, no, my great grandparents. They were gassed so many times. Like, there's not a lot of tears.
I'm gonna start the Butch DeFeo Internet Defense Force, and I'm gonna stand out anti-Butch DeFeo on the internet.
The BDIF, BDIDF,
BIDF. John, get a grip.
No, the Butch DeFeo, Butch DeFeo, or just the Butch.
Oh,
yeah.
BDIDF.
That's what I said.
Yes.
BDIDF. It comes off the tongue a little weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
BDI is more the other people that we like to talk about.
That's good. It's true. So yeah, I'm gonna tend to go with there seems to be something there, but there seems to be a lot of smoke and bullshit involved as well.
Yeah, that's basically how I feel about it. I think the Warrens probably brought a lot of bullshit into this, as did Dr. Professor whatever.
Holzer.
Hans Holzer.
Dr. Professor Hans Holzer. Yeah.
Whatever his fucking name is. I don't give a shit.
Right.
Hey, he was married to the Countess Catherine Genevieve Buxhoven.
Still don't care.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, good job, Adam. What do you have to? You got? What's your take on this? There, you were on your seat,
on
edge of your seat
Amityville?
the whole time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like there was probably some kind of paranormal stuff, because, like, what's the chance that it's, a coincidence that both Butch, this psycho, and George, like another psycho, moved into the same house, and started becoming similar to each other. I think I'm with Scott pretty much. Like, something happened here, but then it was the first real big kind of paranormal thing to hit the media the way that it did. And then you just get a whole bunch of Jews, show up and start trying to make a business out of it. And that's where truth goes to die. So
I think the biggest thing in favor of this being real is the murders.
Yep.
Especially the fact that no one heard these gunshots and that they were all found face down. Like, it just, maybe they were scared and trying to hide, but like all 6 people were doing it.
Yeah, not all 6 of them. Yeah. Why wouldn't they hide under the bed? I mean,
yeah, someone would be under the bed or hiding in a closet or like trying to jump out a window. Like,
right.
I don't know. That's
unless the whole neighborhood was in on it. And they didn't, when they heard the gunshots, they were like, he had nothing.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking Italians don't want to spill the secrets of the neighborhood. It might have been it.
Like, from The Simpsons, what was that guy?
Johnny Tight Lips or whatever.
Yeah, Johnny Tight Lips. Johnny, where'd they get you? I ain't saying nothing.
No, the line is, that one, yeah.
Go suck a lip.
Yeah. How's your mother? I ain't saying nothing.
That must be what it was. I don't know. Fucking, yeah. Well, all right. I think we can wrap this one up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a pasta for you this week. You know, I made enough
nice.
time to be on the show and record a pasta. I'm gonna be reading one called Faceless.
Oh, right on.
All right.
That's cool. Well, we will do that. And thanks, Brad. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing the creepypasta
Yeah,
for
thanks.
us.
This has been an excellent episode.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun to come on.
Oh yeah, we'll have you on again real soon. All right, Scott, Adam.
Good, because I got more stuff to talk about.
All right, good. Maybe next time we'll do the prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really carried us this time.
Yeah, seriously.
I hope your
Brad.
back's not sore from carrying.
Hi.
All right, don't get him too excited. He's 1-1. All
No,
right.
that's cool. I actually think I drunkenly stumbled over everything because I've had too much to drink like every episode.
It's
Oh,
all
it's
good.
the
It's all
usual.
good. All right, guys, let's take off. All right, we'll see you guys next week. For the brightstuff.biz, this has been the Paranormies Present, the Ahnenerbe Hour. We will talk to you later.
Hello, my name is Diego, and I live in a small village located in central Portugal. Things are quiet here. I go to school, I have many friends, and I even have a girlfriend. It's all going great, and this despite my handicap. At least, that's the way I think about it. Indeed, you see, I can foretell when a person is going to die. All I need to do is look at their face, either on a TV, a photograph, or when I'm in front of someone. The difference being that I see them without a face. I can see their heads with their ears and hair, but there's no mouth, no nose, or no eyes. It all started when I was a kid. Back at home, there was a picture of the family on the fireplace. Grandma, Grandpa, my parents, my big sister, and I. At some point, I couldn't help but notice my grandmother's face had all but vanished from the picture. Of course, this remained unnoticed by the whole family, and everyone just kept asking me to be quiet and cause no trouble. But some days later, grandmother passed away following a heart attack. I didn't immediately see the connection, nor did my parents. It's not like she was in her prime, you know. Then it was Grandpa's turn. His face had vanished from the picture here again. Once again, I tried to tell my parents, but that only led to more fighting. But I couldn't argue with the facts, as some days after that, Grandfather died as well. From a stroke. That time, my parents could no longer deny the truth and not believe me. They did ask me to keep it all a secret and not tell anyone. They saw that as a curse and feared this could lead to trouble. This kind of ability would tend to make people suspicious should this be turning out to be true. It all went smoothly from there. This handicap was not at all that difficult to bear, and I thank God for that. I did see faceless people out in the streets when I watched TV. I told my loved ones about Michael Jackson days before it actually happened, and they managed to make a bundle from buying collections of CDs before everyone else did and selling them over the internet at a ridiculous amount of money. I know that is not a particularly nice thing to do, but it was my gift, my curse, and I had to make do with it, so I figured I might as well make full use of that. You might be asking yourself, why am I telling you all that now? Why am I revealing that secret to the whole wide world? What happened? Do I want to know if somebody else possesses the same ability? No, I don't care. Do I want to be famous? Far from it. The truth is, my dear friends, as of this morning, I haven't seen a single face. The TV people are faceless. All my Facebook friends are faceless. Same goes for the people out in the streets. Same goes for me in the mirror. I don't know what's going to happen, but I suggest you start living from now on as you never have before. Have all the fun you can, dance away, make love, pray, do whatever you want. Because in a few days, we'll all see each other in the next world.
Thank